Hey guys, what's going on? This is Tom with the Strength Agenda. We are going over our cool down for the squat program, the squat session that you just finished up. These are just a couple stretches that I've picked up through yoga, especially for my wife Beth, and Ramwad, and all sorts of different little things that we've done. That these are just a couple of the ones that I feel will help the most in terms of stretching out a little bit after training. This first one is just like a seated straddle type pose. You essentially get your legs as wide as you possibly can. If you have really poor mobility, it might help to sit up on a block or a pad or an ab mat or something like that. And you just simply just lean forward. Don't really try to force that range of motion. Just kind of sit and let your body. Think I have you guys sitting for a minute or so. If you can handle sitting for a minute, that's great. If you want to go a little bit longer, that's fine too. But the whole purpose is to stretch out that groin and just increase that range of motion. Then we move into our half hero, or I think Ramwad calls this a half saddle. You essentially tuck that leg up in your side, do one leg at a time, and you just lay back. If you do not have the flexibility like I have in this video to lay all the way back, you can either just sit up nice and tall, or you can put a bench or a ball or a pad underneath your shoulder blades and just go as far back as you possibly can. The goal with all of this is we're just trying to get some blood flow to the muscle. So they might have gotten tight from the squats. They might have gotten tight from training. Just doing these stretches at the end of training will help tremendously in terms of your recovery. Just a couple minutes after training is all you need to get this, get that blood flowing again, get that recovery process started so you can hit your next training session as hard as you hit the first one. This is just doing the same thing on the other leg. We're going to do these from different angles and stuff like that. So don't worry, this video will repeat and go through again. The next pose is probably my favorite. This is kind of a weird angle to see it, but I want everybody to see it from the front. This is a pigeon pose. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to take one leg, you're going to place it up in front of you. You're going to form a little bit of like a 90 degree, maybe a little bit less, 45 degree angle with your knee. And your back leg is going to go straight back. And you're essentially just going to sit. If you feel any discomfort in your hip or your knee, here I'm doing what's called a tall pigeon. If you feel any discomfort in your knee or your hip while doing this, like we need to adjust that angle a little bit and just kind of feel out, see what feels good, what doesn't. If you need a little bit of assistance, sometimes it helps to have a tactile cue for the body to relax. You can take a ball, a pad, a block of any sort, and you can actually put it under the hip that is being stretched. You should be feeling this one in the glute, lower back. Like I said, you shouldn't be feeling this in your knee or your hip too much. If you are feeling pressure or it's uncomfortable in the knee and the hip, you might want to adjust. And also keep in mind when we're doing these single leg stretches, one leg might be a little bit looser than the other. That's okay. The whole purpose of this is we're just working on, again, loosening up the body, loosening up those tight muscles from all the squatting, and just kind of getting that recovery process started for you. Now we're going to go to the side angle. Again, we're going to go to our seated straddle. Again, you want the feet relaxed, the legs as straight as possible, and then you're just kind of laying down in this one. If you want to put a ball underneath your head, underneath your forehead, or stack up some mats or yoga blocks, or if you have access to any of that kind of stuff, that's great too. Also, remember the cue from the first time we did this. You want to lift up your butt a little bit by like sitting either on an ab mat or sitting on a rolled up towel or yoga mat. That'll help tremendously with this. And don't try to force the range of motion. You just want to keep reaching and just letting your body just kind of melt essentially into the pose. Here we have our half seated or half saddle, half hero poses. Again, you can see this a little bit better from the side. That leg is tucked as close underneath the hip as possible, and you are just laying back. This one is probably my favorite stretch to do of all time because my hips get really tight. My quads are always getting really tight. This is really good for the hip and the quad. And just getting the front of that leg all nice and loosened up. Again, like the other ones, if you feel this in your knee, like it's an uncomfortable kind of pain, stop or decrease the range of motion. Remember when I said we decrease the range of motion, we do so by either placing a block, a ball, a mat, something underneath your shoulders. And as your mobility improves, as your flexibility improves, you can gradually lower yourself all the way to the floor. Some people might be able to get into this position right away, but if you can't, that's all right. This program is 5 weeks long. You will be amazed at how much your flexibility can improve from week 1 to week 5 just by doing these stretches and holding them for a minute each time after your squat session. So please just take things a little bit at a time. Just try to go for that little bit of progress each training session. And then we're going to finish this up again with our pigeon. You'll be able to see these a little bit better from the side angles here. You can see I have a little bit of space under my hip. Trying to feel this in the glute. You can shift the hips around a little bit to try to feel this in different areas. That back leg is as straight as possible. Again, if you're feeling pressure in that hip and that knee, come out of it or go to the tall version like I was doing in the head-on video. But some people really react well to having a tactile cue to kind of touch and kind of ease into. So putting a ball, putting a block, putting an ab mat underneath that hip and just kind of sitting back into it may help. And sometimes just going up into the tall version of this, people will feel a pretty good stretch in and of itself. So again, it just depends on where you're at. Some people on one side can only be able to do that tall version of the stretch. And then on the other side, they're able to do that full version where they're laying down. As you can see, I'm a little bit tighter on this side than the other side because of the way my hips are rotated. I tried to fix that, I think, during this one because I noticed it, but it's just, you just kind of got to feel things out and just kind of let the body do its thing. Sit in these positions, try to take some deep breaths, breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, nice big deep breaths. Try not to be distracted too much. Put the phone away unless you're using it as a timer or something like that, but you don't want to be doing too much with it. Okay. So this is our stretch series. This is what we do. I usually do these stretches any day I have heavy squats involved. Hopefully this helps you guys out. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to let us know. And we look forward to hearing how this squat program is going for you guys. All right. Take care.